Welcome to NACTV Reads the News. My name is Jeremy Vogt, and I'm one of many volunteers that help create programming for our station. NACTV can be seen on MTS Channel 30 or 1030, Westman Cable Channel 117, Bell Satellite Channel 592, or online at nactv.tv. These programs are made possible by our volunteers, staff, advertisers, as well as donations made by you, the viewers. If you are enjoying your NACTV experience, please consider supporting us by either donation or volunteering. You can contact our office at 204-476-2639 or by email at nactv@wcgwave.ca. And today I'll be reading the Neepawa Banner and Press for Friday, September 24th, 2021. And on the front page, we have the election results from this past Monday. Liberals 158 seats, Conservatives 119, Bloc Québécois 34, NDP 25, Green 2, PPC 0. And in the accompanying article, thank you for putting your trust in me once again. Dan Mjhl re-elected in Dauphin Swan River Neepawa riding. Dan Mjhl will once again represent the Dauphin Swan River Neepawa electoral riding in Ottawa. The Conservative Party candidate and incumbent Member of Parliament claimed victory on Monday, September 20th with 22,221 votes. That amounts to a solid 59% of the total ballots cast within the constituency. Arthur Holroyd, the NDP candidate, finished in second with 5,524 votes, while Kevin Carlson of the Liberal Party was third with 4,649 total votes. Other candidates in the riding included Donnan McKenna of the People's Party, 3,965 votes, the Green Party's Shirley Lambrecht, 816 votes, and Lori Falloon Austin of the Maverick Party, 380 votes. As for the national numbers, as of the Banner and Press publication deadline, Justin Trudeau and the Liberal Party of Canada will form a minority government with 158 ridings, a gain of 3 seats compared to their status just before the election call. The Conservatives, meanwhile, will make up the official opposition, having won 119 seats in Parliament. And this will be continued on page A7. Mjhl ready to go back to work in Ottawa. In his speech post-victory, Mjhl thanked his supporters for choosing him to remain their voice in Parliament. Thank you so much, Dauphin Swan River Neepawa. Tonight's message is loud and clear. Our riding wants a voice that will continue to stand up for rural Canada, and I will do that, said Mjhl. Over the course of the last 36-day campaign, Mjhl noted that his re-election team adapted and persisted, installing hundreds of signs, making thousands of calls, and knocking on a record number of doors. He thanked them for the dedication that they showed throughout the entire process, and the success of election night would not have happened without them. As for where things will go from here, Mjhl stressed that he was looking forward to getting back to Ottawa and starting to work again. The local campaign was all about supporting rural Canadians, reversing the course of neglect that Justin Trudeau has shown us. Tonight's local victory is a victory for farmers, ranchers, and outdoorsmen. It's a victory of local families and businesses within our constituency. Thank you for putting your trust in me once again as your Member of Parliament. I promise to continue to represent you the best way that I can. The real work is just beginning, stated Mjhl. And in the accompanying photo, Dan Mjhl speaks to the assembled group of supporters on Monday, September 20th at the Minnedosa Legion. Neepawa supports Terry Fox run in a big way. The message of optimism and determination from Terry Fox during the initial Marathon of Hope still resonates greatly with a lot of Canadians, well over 40 years later. That positive message was once again on full display in Neepawa on Sunday, September 19th for the annual Terry Fox Run. A large crowd of supporters laced up their sneakers for the organization's first large-scale in-person fundraiser since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic. All proper protocols, however, remained in place, with participants doing their part. Event organizer Dr. Kelly Kruzaniak said after last year's more structured and spaced-out version for the run, it's nice to return to a day that feels a little more normal. It feels good to be here today and to have such a great turnout. Last year we did the run, but it was not a mass start, but people still came and participated. It was more spread out in their arrival times, but they still wanted to have the experience, noted Dr. Kruzaniak. Seeing everyone out here again for this year's run, it's great. Everyone was happy to be here and happy that it was a beautiful day. The structure of the Terry Fox Run involved runners, walkers, and bikers beginning their 5-kilometer journey at the running track behind NACI. After one complete lap around the track, they then traveled to the DQ checkpoint, where they stopped for a tasty treat and then returned to the track to complete the day. This year's final tally for the Terry Fox Run in Neepawa is one of the best in recent memory, as around $9,000 was raised through 140 participants. The annual Terry Fox Run is held in about 650 communities across Canada in commemoration of Fox, who lost his leg to cancer at the age of 18 and set off in 1980 to run across the country and raise money for cancer research. And the photo shows the participants in the 2021 Terry Fox Run in Neepawa. Smile Cookie campaign smashes 2020 record. More smiles than usual were out and about last week. Neepawa's Tim Hortons engaged in its annual Smile Cookie fundraiser, providing a tasty treat to all who supported it from September 13th to 19th. The total amount of funds raised was confirmed on September 21st to be $9,086. With every cookie being sold for $1, that means just over 9,000 cookies were baked and sold. 100% of the funds raised from this year's event are being donated to Hazel M. Kellington School in Neepawa. This total completely smashes their record from 2020. The number recorded for that year had come to 6,214, which benefited the Neepawa branch of the Salvation Army. Tim Hortons franchises across Canada rally together for the Smile Cookie campaign every year to donate to local charities and groups. Former McCreary resident stars in Riverfront Romance. And in the photo, in the center, Cara Durant, right, played by local-born actress Tammy Gillis, poses with Riley, played by Morgan David Jones, to promote Riverfront Romance. Banner and press readers may soon see a familiar face on their TVs again. Tammy Gillis, born in Dauphin and raised in McCreary, is starring in a brand new film production called Riverfront Romance. The film follows Cara Durant, played by Gillis, who has always dreamed of buying an old turn-of-the-century home, the Ridgecrest estate, on the riverbank of her hometown. After years of hard work as a successful novelist, Gillis' character manages to buy it all and make her dream come true. That is, until she discovers that Riley, played by fellow lead actor Morgan David Jones, project manager of a hydro corporation, is set to start construction on a dam right in front of her house. The dam, if completed, would ruin the peaceful atmosphere, flood the local swimming hole, and permanently alter the landscape of the town. Kara Durant has 30 days to change Riley's mind, leaving viewers to wonder if the construction will come between them or if they will let down their own barriers and take a chance on each other as the story unfolds. In an interview with the Banner and Press, Gillis said the biggest challenge she had getting into the role of Kara Durant was figuring out what was driving the character to fulfill that dream and where the dream came from. As an actor, you make choices, and the more personal you can make your choices and hold these secrets over the filming of the movie, the stronger they will come across. I haven't told anyone the choices that I made regarding what was driving her towards this, and the director would always ask me, "You have to tell me, what is this choice you've made?" said Gillis. And I tell him that I cannot tell him, that I can't reveal my secret. It'll be interesting to see if anyone can pick up on what it is. Gillis added, "I definitely drew things from my personal life towards that secret, for sure." Gillis did more than acting on the set of Riverfront Romance. In addition to acting as Kara Durant, Gillis was also working as executive producer. It's very much a different experience, in a great way. Being an actor, you have to be really flexible and open to collaboration. So when I'm presented with a problem or something to figure out, as an actor, I'm like, well, on one hand, I could go with this, but on the other, I could go with this. So either one is good for me, which is the best one for you. Whereas being a producer, nobody can move forward until I make a decision, Gillis explained. She noted that the director on set, Sean Cisterna, who she is close with, good-naturedly urged her now and then to finalize decisions so filming could continue. Being a producer and directing, it's kind of like constantly putting out fires. You have a game plan, and inevitably it's not going to go according to the game plan. So you have to make a decision, and then you can only move forward from there, said Gillis. Gillis' hope for Riverfront Romance is that it gives people entertainment and makes them laugh. That alone is part of why she got into acting. You make these things to take people on a journey and give them an experience. I also coach and teach actors, and one of the things I talk about is how, in real life, we don't really allow ourselves to feel a lot of the time, Gillis enthused. That when you watch a movie or a television show, you let yourself go on that journey and feel those things. We had such an amazing time doing this. It's just really cute and fun. And that's definitely one of the things I love doing. Over the course of her approximately 20-year career, she has acted in roles for a variety of different genres. This has landed her on sets for shows such as Siren, Motive, Supernatural, Once Upon a Time, Ties That Bind, The Arrangement, Ghost Wars, and Van Helsing. Although there were no bat sheets offering a physical challenge like there was on the set of Van Helsing, Gillis did meet with some canoe-related difficulties while filming Riverfront Romance. The trouble came when it was time to put the canoe in the water and row it down the river, which would then be depicted on the movie's poster. The canoeing was hilarious. I don't have a lot of experience canoeing. I did, funny enough, canoe in a different movie, and I was equally terrible at it. But Morgan, the lead male actor in Riverfront Romance, is great at it, said Gillis. He was coaching me through it, but when we first got in it, there weren't cameras anywhere around us. We had a drone set up further down the river to follow us, and we just had a walkie-talkie. So when we first put the canoe in the water, we'd run it right into the cement pillar that holds up the bridge. And I was like, we're going down. So we hadn't done a take in the canoe yet, and we'd crashed it essentially, but we didn't tip. In her final words, Gillis wished to thank all those who've supported her throughout the years. When she grew up, Gillis didn't know anybody who was an actor and hadn't even thought of being an actor as a career option. I never thought it was even an option, so I get these stories from people in Manitoba, and my dad hears them a lot, of these people that become actors and pursue it because of my story. That makes me feel so great. It's so amazing, Gillis expressed. It doesn't matter where you're from. If you dream it, you can do it. So I'd love for everybody to tune in and watch Riverfront Romance. It was so fun to make, and I really appreciate all of the support that I get from McCreary, Neepawa, Dauphin, Winnipeg, and just Manitoba in particular. Thank you very much. And in the photo, Tammy Gillis and co-star make their way down the river in a canoe for one of the scenes in Riverfront Romance. And Neepawa Tourism will be holding a drive-in movie night on Friday, September 4th. So by the time you see this, it'll be too late to see the Lego movie, but you can still catch Jurassic World at 9. And as always, every Wednesday, we here on NACTV have Bigger Bingo. And the big jackpot, the Bonanza pot, is well over $11,000 now, and we are selling the cards, the packages, once again in stores, so you can get them at Harris Pharmacy and at Legion and Tim Tom's and maybe more places in the coming weeks. In Out of Helen's Kitchen, today we have pear custard dessert. Fall is pear season. The teardrop-shaped fruit ripens from the inside out. By the time you notice the outer flesh is ripe, the inside is very mushy. Although the skin on Bartlett pears changes from green to yellow as they ripen, most varieties show little color change as they ripen. The best way to check the ripeness is to check the neck. Using your thumb, apply gentle pressure to the neck or stem end of the pear. If it gives to gentle pressure, then the pear is ripe. If it is firm, leave the pear at room temperature to continue ripening. Bartletts are my favorite pear variety, as they are very aromatic and have that lovely pear flavor. With plentiful fall pears in the stores, try this simple to make yet delicious dessert. And there's a recipe for pear custard dessert. And now for the Spruce Plains RCMP report. During the week of September 13th to September 19th, Spruce Plains RCMP dealt with 59 police activities. On September 13th, RCMP responded to a report of a missing person in Minnedosa. After a thorough search, the person was located safe and sound. Police were dispatched to a two-vehicle collision in the municipality of Westlake Gladstone. One driver was issued numerous tickets for offenses, including driving carelessly and driving an unregistered vehicle. Police received a report of a stolen cell phone in Plumas. The matter is still under investigation. September 14th. RCMP responded to a report of a disturbance at a residence in Minnedosa. One person was arrested, charged with assault, and taken into custody overnight. They were released the next day and will appear in court at a later date. Police received a report of possible abandoned rail oil tankers that were blocking the road in the municipality of Westlake Gladstone. Police contacted CN Rail and the rail cars were cleared shortly after. September 15th, RCMP received a report of a break-and-enter to a storage locker in Minnedosa. The investigation is ongoing. Police received information that a wanted individual was at a residence in Gladstone. After attempts were made by other residents of the household to obstruct justice, the wanted individual presented themselves and was arrested on 3 outstanding warrants. Police received reports of 3 separate hit-and-runs, all occurring in Neepawa. There was insufficient evidence to proceed with all matters. September 16th. RCMP responded to a commercial alarm in Gladstone that was later determined to be false. Police received a report of a hit-and-run to a vehicle in the municipality of Westlake Gladstone. The matter is still under investigation. September 17th, RCMP received a report of an e-transfer fraud in the RM of Rosedale. The investigation is ongoing. Police responded to a report of mischief in where youth were found damaging property in Mendoza. The youth were escorted home and spoken to regarding their actions. Police conducted a check stop in Neepawa and stopped approximately 50 vehicles. Mandatory alcohol screening tests were conducted on numerous drivers, which fortunately produced 0 results. September 18th, RCMP were conducting proactive traffic enforcement in Mendoza when they observed a vehicle make multiple suspicious turns. Police conducted a check stop with the vehicle, where the driver admitted to consuming 2 beers. An alcohol screen test was administered and the driver blew a warning. The vehicle was towed and the driver was issued a driving suspension. Police responded to a break-and-enter to a residence in Mendoza. The matter is still under investigation. September 19th, RCMP received a report that a knife covered in a red substance was located outside of a restaurant in Neepawa. Police attended and seized the knife and discovered the red substance was just barbecue sauce. Police received a noise complaint from a resident in Mendoza. Police attended and the partygoers were told to quiet down. RCMP conducted 19 traffic enforcement actions during this reporting period. And next, 2 local trail systems received provincial funding. Outdoor recreation in the area recently got a boost of funding. On Friday, September 17th, the Government of Manitoba announced the 35 recreational trails that will receive money through the Trails Grant from Manitoba program, and 2 locations near Neepawa are benefiting from grants. The Rosedale Farm Trail, located northwest of Neepawa off Highway 5, will be receiving $2,300 from the province. Norma Summers, chair of the Rosedale Farm Trail Committee, noted that they've already started on the work that this grant will help to pay for. We have designed a project to enhance the trail and hopefully finish it off, as far as improving it and making it more accessible for all users, Summers explained. This summer, the committee was hard at work spreading gravel on the rougher parts of the trail to even it out. They are continuing to work with other local organizations for other aspects of their trail enhancement project as well. Summers stated that this is the first grant from Trails Manitoba that they have been allocated. We have received a portion of the $2,300. The balance will be paid to us upon completion of reports and proof of the project being completed, she explained. We are working our way through the improvements and hope to be finished by early next summer. The Neepawa Langford Winter Park has also been chosen by Trails Manitoba and will be receiving a $1,700 grant. Jennifer Enns, Vice Chair for the Neepawa and Area Cross Country Ski Club, which manages and maintains the winter park, noted that the increased popularity of winter walking and skiing has made it necessary to upgrade and expand their facilities. Work such as widening, stump grinding, and brush clearing has been done to upgrade specific trails. 2 walking trails will be accessible from the southeast corner of the winter park, and skate skiers will have a 4-kilometer trail to skate on. Also, with increased activity, we were in need of a better parking strategy, so the parking for the toboggan area was expanded as a result of this program, explained Enns. We appreciate being able to have the opportunity to apply for these grants so that we can expand our trails and make them more accessible, she added. noting that most of the funding they receive comes through the Municipal Recreation Commission and from park users' donations. The Neepawa Langford Winter Park can be found east of Neepawa on Highway 16. And now for the looking back section. 110 years ago, Friday, September 22nd, 1911. Somebody threw an empty bottle on the stage at the Opera House Tuesday while Arthur Meehan was delivering his address to the electors. 100 years ago, Friday, September 23rd, 1921. An old man who was trying to make himself comfortable at the CPR station Wednesday night was asked by a stranger to go to a more comfortable place to sleep. They went over to an elevator where the stranger tapped the old man on the bean and took what remained of his open account in his trousers pocket. On recovering his consciousness, the old man was gratified to find that the rest of his account in the bosom of his shirt was untouched. He found his way to the hospital where the bump on his cranium is being attended to. 90 years ago, Tuesday, September 22nd, 1931. Arden, Miss Margaret Drysdale of the Children's Hospital, Winnipeg, visited with her parents at Inkerman on Sunday. 80 years ago, Tuesday, September 23rd, 1941. The Winnipeg Grenadiers will be incorporated with the 6th Division of the Canadian Active Service Corps. The Royal Air Force made 5 offensive sweeps over Nazi-occupied territory Thursday, destroying 16 German aircraft, sinking 2 Nazi anti-aircraft ships and damaging a supply ship off the Belgian coast. Scientific research has isolated the virus which caused the outbreak of encephalomyelitis on the prairies this summer, and has established the fact that the same virus which caused disease in horses also caused it in humans. Arden, the primary room of the local school, has been closed for this week on account of an epidemic of measles, which has broken out among the younger children. Hallborough, Private Harold Jones of the Winnipeg Grenadiers and recently returned from Jamaica was a visitor at the family home this week. "70 years ago, Thursday, September 20th, 1951. Bernie, Miss Thelma Wirham of Kelwood, is teacher at Oakleaf School. Sugar has been successfully used as a remedy for sleeping sickness." And 60 years ago, Friday, September 22nd, 1961. Funeral services were held on Monday, September 8th at McCreary for Archibald Neil McFadden, 93, of Laurier, who died Friday, September 15th at Winnipeg Deer Lodge Hospital after a short illness. Born at Kincardine, Ontario in 1868, Mr. McFadden homesteaded in East Bay, Manitoba, before coming to Eden in 1878, where he farmed until his retirement to Laurier, Manitoba. A veteran of the First World War, Mr. McFadden joined the Canadian 181st Infantry Battalion in 1916, enlisting at Brandon on April 16th of that year. Mr. McFadden is survived by 16 nephews and nieces. And there is also an accompanying photo of him. The caption reads, "Pictured is Archibald McFadden, a veteran of World War I who passed away in 1961. McFadden resided at Eden for some time, starting in 1878, before retiring." And 50 years ago, Thursday, September 23rd, 1971, Mr. and Mrs. John Speece of 200 2nd Avenue celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary August 21st, with about 200 guests attending. Brookdale. Children attending kindergarten in Neepawa from Brookdale are Leanne Chudley, Beverly McKee, Trevor McLeod, Stephen Vinters, and Roy Kerman. 40 years ago, Thursday, October 15th, 1981. Pearl McGonigal, Deputy Mayor of Winnipeg with a distinguished record of public service, will be sworn in as Manitoba's 19th Lieutenant Governor October 23rd at an 11 a.m. ceremony in the Legislative Building. The oath of office for Manitoba's first and Canada's second woman Lieutenant Governor will be administered by the Chief Justice of Manitoba, Samuel Friedman. 30 years ago, Monday, September 23, 1991. In the past few weeks, the Neepawa banner has expanded its circulation at Erickson, Bethany, and Clanwilliam. This week, the banner comes for the first time to every household in St. Rose and will be available in the stores at Laurier. On June 20th, 1991, amidst an array of Ninja Turtles, 13 boys and girls graduated from the Gladstone Day Nursery. The children entertained family and friends with songs, poems, and nursery rhymes. 20 years ago, Monday, September 24th, 2001. The town of Neepawa is costing an upgrade of the lagoon system at Spring Hill Farms hog processing plant. Neepawa Mayor Ken Waddell said the upgrade will be done in phases. Engineers will study options for upgrading the lagoon system. That will be followed by the development of a plan before a long-range capital works project is put into place. Waddell said the upgrade will mean the plant's wastewater system will operate at full efficiency for the first time. He said a design flaw when the lagoons were first constructed in 1986 meant the plant's wastewater system never ran properly. Because of that, effluent from hog plant lagoons has periodically been dumped into the town's lagoons. Waddell said that process accounted for the foul smell wafting through the air for several weeks. The Beautiful Plains School Division has started the process of selling Arden School. And that's all for looking back for this week. And on the next few pages, we have Meet the Teachers, showing a list of this year's different teachers at the Beautiful Plains School Division, Pine Creek School Division, Turtle River School Division, and Rolling River School Division. There's too many names to list here, but if you get a copy of the paper, you can look it up and see who the teachers are at your local schools, or see if there's anyone that you recognize. And on the sports page, an end result that was worth the wait. Neepawa Titans win MJHL home opener 3-1 over Dauphin. After about 10 months of disappointment and uncertainty when it comes to being able to watch local hockey, it was really nice to be able to finally focus on what was actually happening out there on the ice in Neepawa. For the first time since November 6, 2020, Junior A hockey was played inside the Yellowhead Center in Neepawa on Friday, September 17th. As if that were not significant enough, it was also the first time ever the Titans suited up and represented Neepawa in a regular season home game. Fortunately, the team did not disappoint, putting in a tremendous effort on the way to a solid 3-1 win over the Dauphin Kings. After the player introductions and opening ceremonies, both teams immediately shifted into game mode. At 6:53 into the opening period, Parker Corman etched his name in Neepawa's history books, scoring the first ever goal of the regular season for the rechristened Titans. Dauphin's Luke Morris would tie the game early in the second period, but the Titans would then take over control of the action for the remainder of the middle frame. First, Rylan Goodnison put the moves past the Dauphin defender and wristed one low past the blocker side of goaltender Keaton Woolsey. Then, Jaeger Lapointe followed that up with an impressive individual effort. The 20-year-old from St. Rose fought off the pressure of a Dauphin defender, and then deked Woolsey to put the puck to the back of the net on a slick backhander. There were no goals scored in the third period, despite a strong push made by Dauphin to make up the deficit. Neepawa goaltender Gavin Renwick would collect the win, his first in the MJHL, with a 19-save performance between the pipes. In a post-game interview with the Banner and Press, Titans head coach and general manager Ken Pearson said winning that first game was very significant for a variety of reasons. It was big, with the full change in identity, we wanted to get things started off on the right foot and carry the momentum forward that we've had since the announcement of the name change. The guys wanted this game pretty badly tonight, and I think getting that first goal put us at ease a little bit and let us get to work, said Pearson. Pearson added that even though it is early in the year, he is already impressed with the leadership he is seeing from the older players, both in the dressing room and on the bench during the game. He stated that's the type of mindset that is needed to build something special this season. The following night in Dauphin, the Titans threw everything they could at Kings goaltender Carson Cherepik, but just found themselves unable to solve him, falling 1-0. Neepawa fired 45 shots at the 18-year-old from Winnipeg, but were frustrated all night by the former Winnipeg Wild netminder. Scoring Dauphin's lone goal of the game was Luke Morris, just 7:40 into the game. With the loss, Neepawa fell to 1-1. The Titans and Kings will go at it again with a pair of games on September 24th and 25th. The next home game for Neepawa will be on Saturday night, with a start time set for 7:30 p.m. Province announces $14 million vaccine uptake campaign. The Manitoba government is continuing in its efforts to get as much of the province vaccinated against COVID-19 as possible. On Tuesday, September 21st, the province announced that they will be investing nearly $14 million to support community-focused outreach to those still hesitant to get the vaccine and to improve access to the shot. As we move forward, our immunization strategy is shifting toward work at the community level to increase vaccination rates in the province, to help protect our schools, our places of worship, our businesses, and our healthcare system, said Premier Kelvin Gertsen. This financial support will help healthcare workers across Manitoba engage in more targeted local outreach with the confidence and tools they need to make a difference in our immunization rates, one person and one community at a time. For the thousands of people who are still not immunized and unprotected against the risks of COVID-19, we recognize the importance of hearing about the benefits of the vaccine from their trusted doctor or pharmacist close to home, said Health and Seniors Care Minister Audrey Gordon. It's also critical that we provide tools to the regional health authorities and healthcare providers who are having ongoing conversations with people about the vaccine. This will support our ongoing efforts to improve vaccine access and uptake in communities and neighborhoods across the province. The initiative will support the development and training of doctors and pharmacists to help them reach out to individuals who aren't fully vaccinated. It will also allow doctors' offices to create a roster of patients who aren't fully vaccinated so that the doctors can get in touch with those patients and have a conversation about their concerns. Doctors are here to listen to concerns about the COVID-19 vaccine and share up-to-date information so that every individual can make a fully informed decision about vaccination, said Dr. Christian Thompson, President, Doctors Manitoba. Talk to your doctor or visit our website to find a physician near you to answer your questions and, if you are ready, give you the vaccine too. Throughout the pandemic, patients have continued to foster trusted and lasting relationships with their pharmacists, said Ashley Hart, President of Pharmacists Manitoba. Pharmacists are an integral part of a community-based collaborative health strategy and we look forward to being involved in efforts to reduce barriers and save lives through this grassroots initiative to increase vaccination uptake. The investment will also be used to offer more immunization clinics in areas where there has been lower vaccine uptake. As well, the province will offer additional training to healthcare professionals and paraprofessionals in the regional health authorities to help prepare them for any questions and concerns they may be confronted with in the public. And next we have Gladwin Scott's Here and There. At the top are two photos. On the left is Alicia Funk, the new Economic Development Officer for the town of Carberry. And on the right, Carson Bjarnson, a Carberry goalie, recently signed on to the Brandon Wheat Kings. He signed the paperwork to make it official on September 14th. Alicia Funk is the town of Carberry's new Economic Development Officer. She lived in Snowflake, Manitoba until the age of 10, and then moved to Brandon for the balance of her formal education. Alicia graduated from Brandon University in 1998 with a major in mathematics and a minor in sociology. This was followed by 4 years with BU in rural development. The next 5 years were spent with Brandon Neighborhood Renewal. The Portage Revitalization Corporation was her employer for the next 7 years. Her main roles were planning and fundraising for their projects. She was also employed by MNP for 5 years in their accounting division. Alicia lives in McGregor with her 14-year-old son and 12-year-old daughter. Her present office is in the former municipal building until the new town office is open. Her telephone number is 204-834-6616, and her email is edo@townofcarberry.ca. Presently, she is evaluating the current situation and planning for input and a supportive committee. Congratulations to Colin and Tanis Knox at 1031 Hadley Avenue as recipients of the Carberry Communities in Bloom Yard of the Week. Carson Bjarnson, age 16, a Carberry goalie, was signed by the Brandon Wheat Kings September 14th. Carson, who spent last year at the Rink Academy in Winnipeg and previously with the Southwest Cougars, will compete for the backup position behind veteran Ethan Kruger. He is registered for grade 11 at Vincent Massey Collegiate. We wish Carson well as he has worked hard to reach his goal. The Manitoba Baseball Hall of Fame Selection Committee met in the Carberry United Church Hall September 14th to select 8 individuals and 4 teams for induction in the fall of 2022. Carberry Collegiate is planning to offer sports teams. The administration hopes to allow fans who are fully vaccinated and wearing masks. In June, the federal government unanimously voted September 30th as the Day for Truth and Reconciliation, and all schools will be closed. A better idea might have been to spend the day teaching about residential schools and the development of Manitoba and Canada instead of having a holiday. All non-essential government services and offices will be closed for the day. September 30th will also see all flags on provincial government buildings lowered to half-mast to recognize the occasion. And we have a couple of obituaries today. The first is for Kenneth Frederick Colasar, September 27th, 1951 to March 11th, 2021. Ken took flight in the early morning hours of March 11th, joining his angel babies Lisa Marie, 1988, and Anthony David, 1991. Left to mourn are his beloved wife Priscilla, his cherished daughter Christina, sister Noreen, and brothers Robert and Rick. There will be a private memorial service by invitation only on September 27th at 2 p.m. The service can be viewed on Ken's memorial page at mackenziefh.com. In lieu of flowers, donations to the Manitoba Live Steamers would be appreciated. And George Nick Wisnowski, June 16th, 1958 to August 13th, 2021. George Nick Wisnowski passed away suddenly August 13th, 2021 at his home in Brandon, Manitoba. George lived in Brandon for the last number of years. During his younger years, he worked as a farmhand in the Glenella, Manitoba area. George also worked in Boissevain, Manitoba on a bird farm for a few years. When he moved to Brandon, he worked in restaurants and did a lot of odd jobs of cutting grass, shoveling snow, and volunteering with Ventures and MCC Thrift Store. George was a hard worker and was always lending his time and energy to others. He had a love for plants. His apartment was full of them. It looked like a jungle. He also had a special connection with animals, from horses and cattle on the farm to cats and dogs whenever he visited family and friends. George was also a bit of a prankster and loved to joke around. George was born to Mike and Helen Wisnowski, June 16, 1958, at Mountain Road, Manitoba. He was predeceased by Mom and Dad, Helen and Mike Wisnowski, sisters Angela and Cindy, brothers baby Raymond, Donald Mitro, and Larry, brother-in-law Wayne Masters. George is survived by brothers Paul and Ray Wisnowski, sister Judy Masters Collins, her husband Randy Collins, nephew Richard Masters, and niece Heather Masters, many aunts, uncles, and cousins. Funeral service was held September 14, 2021 at Mountain Road Cemetery, family graveside service. Clergy Mark Phillips from St. Dominic's officiated. Friends and family may make memorial donations in memory of George Wisnowski to Prairie Mountain Health. And on the Manitoba Pork Community News page, we have a few photos from last Friday's season opener for the Neepawa Titans, titled "A New Era for Hockey Has Arrived in Neepawa." Above left, Josh Romanek of the Neepawa Titans. Above center, several members of the Titans debut the team's new alternative third jerseys on opening night at the Yellowhead Center. Above right, the team celebrates after scoring a goal. Above far left, Cody Gunnarsson lurks near the Dauphin goal looking for a loose puck. Above center left, Neepawa natives alumni Barry Little and Mike Teehee drop the puck for the first game of the newly rechristened Neepawa Titans Junior A Hockey Club. Above center right, Neepawa Titans captain Austin Klein and assistant Rylan Goodnesson stand with seven man of the night Jensen Cameron just before the playing of the national anthem on Friday, September 17th. And above far right, Jaeger Lapointe celebrates after scoring for Neepawa in the second period, giving the Titans a 3-1 lead over the Dauphin Kings. And one more photo on the bottom. Every vote counts. 98-year-old Rita Harper made sure she took time to vote in this election. Harper said that she's voted in every election since she's been eligible. That means she's voted in 25 elections since 1945. The age of eligibility was 21 until the 70s. Harper noted that it's important to have your say in who governs the country. If you don't vote, you can't squawk, she stated, meaning that you can't complain that your party didn't win if you didn't vote for them. And before we go on to the B section, we'll just take a look at the perspectives page. First, let's read Homebodies by Rita Friesen. Never too old to learn. It's no secret that I enjoy puttering in the home and in the yard, getting creative, mastering minor repairs and restoration. I have stripped and stained countless pieces of furniture, painted and papered many walls and surfaces, dug and planted, and generally amused myself with hard work. I have never been comfortable with anything to do with electricity. My theory is that I can't fight an enemy I can't see. My level of concern with anything electrical is rather epic. Deep breath even for changing a light bulb. Perhaps that is why I am so intrigued with solar lights. But now, hold the candle while I switch out a light fixture. The key, I was told and believe, is to kick the breaker for the outlet before commencing any work. Simple and simply true. There was a set of bulbs in the bathroom, large orangey globes suspended from the ceiling, cords plugged into a light socket. The visual appeal was lacking, as was the quality of the lighting. And so it was time for a change. I had a vision of what I wanted: downward-facing openings, bright white lights, brushed nickel finish. Found the perfect unit, and a capable and able teacher. Gordon guided me through all the steps to dismantle the old fixtures and install the new one. It was no mean feat to identify the breaker for the bathroom. It was not labeled. The television checked out of service, the microwave beeped, and the printer growled back on before the bathroom lights went out. It took believing that there was no power at the outlet, much like it took believing that a life jacket would prevent me from sinking, truth accepted by reality. Taking down the lights reinforced the fact that the ceiling would need to be painted. Those hooks holding up the chains of the globes were anchored deep into the gyprock. I thought of getting the side grinder, almost as dear to my heart as a chainsaw, and recognized that the damage to the plaster would be worse than the holes. Googling the problem, I found the solution was to use vice grips and twist the stems out. It worked. Logic decreed that it would be better to paper the wall surface before installing the new fixture. By now, I had activated the breaker to have some light from the hall, and the far light to illumine my work area. Okay, but the contact of the wet wallpaper onto wires quickly reminded me to hasten and kick that breaker again. A floor lamp in the hallway, directed to the site, proved safer and effective. Long story short, following Gordon's instruction and under his watchful eye, I am enthralled and excited about the lighting in the bathroom. Was as giddy as a kid learning to color in the lines or master skateboarding. From the light fixture, it was a natural progression. Fill the holes in the ceiling and wall, sand smooth undercoat and paint. One little sentence that took 3 days to accomplish. Oh, the potential I see as I look around, with one more new skill in my hands. And we have some thumbs up and thumbs down. Jim Krasaniuk says, "Do you guys remember when the smallest kid in school was always the loudest?" And a huge thumbs up to Amanda Nightingale and her team at Salvation Army for her assistance in 2 separate occasions last week. Amanda went above and beyond for the Neepawa Health Center, and her support and dedication to the community of Neepawa made a huge impact on the overall well-being of a few people in need. Her willingness to help was much appreciated and made a huge difference in the overall care of our patients. Thank you, Amanda. A thumbs up to you. That is from Tara McCarty at Neepawa Hospital. And a huge thumbs up to both Kim Lucan and Debbie Ott for their excellent letters to the editor in last week's paper. Thank you for courageously speaking up about these very concerning issues, and in doing so, protecting and defending the rights of your fellow citizens. It was very much appreciated. A big thumbs up as well to the Banner for your commitment to unbiased reporting and encouragement of different perspectives. In these uncertain times, it is especially refreshing. And Ken Waddell's column this week is entitled "An Abundance of Errors." It was billed as an election nobody wanted. It became the election nobody liked. Well, almost. Maybe the People's Party of Canada were a little bit happy, as their vote percentage went up. They even came in at second place in the neighboring constituency. In Dauphin, Swan River, Neepawa, the PPC came in fourth, but accumulated 3,965 votes. PPC also came in at fourth spot in Brandon Souris. Overall, the PPC came in at just over 5% of the national vote. In only 2 years, they have doubled up the Green Party vote, which has been around for decades. There are many reasons for the PPC vote gains, but they need to be analyzed. The party is led by Maxime Bernier. He was a Conservative Party of Canada MP, a cabinet minister in the Harper government. He won his seat as a Conservative in 2015, and when Harper resigned, after losing in that same election, a leadership contest was held. Bernier came in a very close second to Andrew Scheer, very close as in less than 2% difference in the votes. The main reason that Bernier lost was that the Quebec dairy farmers bought CPC memberships so as to vote against Bernier. Bernier has long campaigned against milk marketing boards and dairy quotas, and of course the dairy farmers didn't want to see that disruption to the dairy industry, and possibly for very good reasons. That's a topic for another day. It appears that Bernier and Scheer couldn't come to an agreement on policies after the leadership race, so the intrigue began. Bernier sat first as an independent and then formed his own party, the People's Party of Canada. I say his own party because it is very much his own party. He appointed himself as leader and has basically carried the party on his back, his personality, and his tenacity ever since. As far as I know, they haven't held a convention or a leadership vote. In the 2019 election, he lost his seat. He lost again Monday night. He can't even get elected in his own riding. He is not doing well in spite of winning 5% of the national vote. PPC elected no MPs, not one. What they did gather together was a variety of voters, some Bernier fans, some people who would vote for his policies, and a lot of people upset with other parties' policies and COVID-19 rules and regulations. For those who wanted the Liberals out of office, and that was the vast majority of Canadians, the PPC blew their chances. Without the benefit Tuesday morning of having final counts, it looks like PPC votes kept Aaron O'Toole's Conservative Party of Canada from winning about 25 seats. If people and parties want to defeat either the Liberals or the Conservatives, then they should line up with one or the other. It seems people don't understand math. On the Manitoba election scene, nothing much changed. It looks like, as of Tuesday morning, that one Winnipeg seat may switch back from Conservatives to Liberals, depending on the mail-in ballot counting. So within Manitoba and across Canada, the federal government spent $650 million and we accomplished very little. Add up how much the party spent and the bill will be a lot higher. By the way, newspapers love elections, lots of news and some ads. Now Manitoba can turn its attention to the Progressive Conservative Party of Manitoba leadership race. The race now involves two women, MLA Heather Stephenson and former MP and federal cabinet minister Shelley Glover. The party has made several mistakes in the race so far. Members need to insist on some changes and vote accordingly. Once Premier Brian Pallister stepped down, the party should have taken a deep breath and gathered some wisdom and input. First, there was no rush to replace Pallister. Just about everyone knew that the current Premier, Kelvin Goertzen, would step up as a very acceptable caretaker Premier. He has done just that. Instead, the party rushed into a leadership race in the middle of a very rushed federal election. Bad move. Then the party dreamed up some new criteria for leadership candidates. The biggest change was to sell or renew 1,000 new memberships and in a short time frame. Another bad move. Several candidates decided they couldn't meet all the criteria. One prospective candidate didn't make the cut on memberships. Then another candidate, former party CFO, treasurer Ken Lee, outsmarted the party and sold a whole lot more than 1,000 memberships. The party isn't announcing how many he or any other candidate sold. Another bad move. The day after Lee made the deadline and the membership criteria, the party disqualified him on undisclosed reasons. That was a really, really bad move. Parties wonder why people don't trust party backroom tactics. Not announcing why Lee was disqualified is a perfect example of why the distrust. The PC membership need to vote for change and renewal. If they don't, there are thousands of members and voters willing to reevaluate if PC Manitoba is the best way to go forward. And as always, there's a disclaimer at the end. The views expressed in this column are the writer's personal views and are not to be taken as being the view of the Banner and Press staff. And now let's go on to the B section. The Farmer's Advocate, which may be the final one of the year. And there's a photo on the front page. Sunset on summer. This old barn building stands in a grain field just west of the ridge between Arden and Eden. New livestock incentive programs to help preserve pasture lands. Brian and Christian Bremersch operate a cow-calf farming operation located southwest of Brandon. Their land is primarily pasture land that is interspersed with wetlands. They bought the land from Kristen's parents about 20 years ago to start a family-run farm. Their land attracts a rich variety of waterfowl and wildlife, which Brian and Kristen enjoy. Several years ago, Brian visited the Manitoba Habitat Heritage Corporation, MHHC, booth at Ag Days in Brandon to chat with the MHHC staff. Brian was interested in pasture and grassland management improvements and any conservation program opportunities that might work for their farm. At the time, we didn't have a lot of program opportunities or funding for farmers looking to improve their grasslands and pastures, said MHHC Area Conservation Specialist Casey McLaughlin. But we did have the Conservation Agreements, CA, program, and funding to partner with private landowners to perpetually conserve wildlife habitat. Through follow-up sharing of information, Brian and Kristen decided that they wanted long-term protection of their habitat areas. So we tailor-made a conservation agreement for the Bremersch farm that provided them with funding to conserve wetlands and grasslands. The land we put into conservation agreement is my pasture land, said landowner Brian Bremersch. It is only good for livestock. By my standards, it should remain as pasture and wildlife habitat. Marginal land and habitat are disappearing and being drained. There are places that will not grow crop that are good for livestock and great for wildlife. I am in favor of farming with livestock and leaving the habitat. So the conservation agreement program was right for me. It's a win-win. In 2020, MHHC developed a new program offering funding incentives to implement beneficial management practices, BMPs, on pasture lands across Manitoba. MHHC recognized that grazed pastures provide a multitude of ecosystem and wildlife benefits, including protection of species at risk on private land. The BMP program includes a wide variety of incentives, such as funding for fencing, watering systems, mowing brush, and pasture seeding. MHHC is open to other BMP ideas from cattle producers that will help maintain pasture lands along with wildlife habitat. I noted that Brian was interested in some pasture management improvements on his farm, so I gave him a call, said Casey. We discussed the new beneficial management practices programs, eligibility criteria, and incentive funding. Brian and Kristen were interested in the watering and fencing incentive programs, so we were able to help them out with that on their farm. I want to thank Casey for mentioning this program to us, Brian relayed. It is a big financial boost for us. We started this operation over 20 years ago, and it takes hard work, time, and a lot of money to get things rolling. The assistance with the fencing program involves a bit of labor, but I like it. It is good. We have 35 cow-calf pairs out on one of our pastures that we have under the fencing program, so it is already paying off. I would recommend this MHHC program to anyone if they have grazed pastures with wildlife habitat, said Brian. Working with Casey was wonderful. She understands the wildlife habitat preservation side, and she also understands what cattle producers' needs are to live and survive off that same land. This is a win-win program for the MHHC and farmers. The MHHC recognizes the wildlife benefits in maintaining grazing lands, and I'm 100% in favor of that and working together. It is a phenomenal program for producers to get money for the land, to keep grazing it as it is, and preserving it for wildlife. And on the next page, we have a bunch of photos underneath the title, Keeping a Tradition Alive. The Robinsons near Polonia have been continuing an old farming practice for many years. On Saturday, September 11th, antique tractors and threshing machines were fired up, horse teams were hooked up to hay wagons, and the work began on an old-fashioned harvest on a small piece of land on the Robinsons' farm. Jim Robinson has been harvesting that way since the 1950s and wanted to continue the tradition. He and his family have been using the threshing machines and the old steam engines annually up until about 15 years ago. They got back to it again this year to give neighbors, friends, and family the chance to experience a day of threshing. And the province celebrates the 7th annual Farm and Food Awareness Week. The Manitoba government is encouraging all Manitobans to learn more about the great diversity of food production in this province and the importance of agriculture to the provincial economy. Agriculture is such an important part of the fabric of this province and is also an important driver to the economy, said Agriculture and Resource Development Minister Ralph Eichler. When the agricultural sector is affected, so too is the Manitoba economy, as was evidenced as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, international market pressures, and this year's drought. We need to take the time to support and celebrate everyone as associated with putting food on our tables. Since its inception in 2015, Farm and Food Awareness Week begins on the third Monday in September to promote and celebrate Manitoba farms, Manitoba food, and other sectors in the diverse agriculture sector. The theme of this year's Farm and Food Awareness Week is Building Agri-Food Connections, extending the province's commitment to engage with Manitobans about agriculture and the importance of their own food production. In addition to initiatives hosted by sector partners and stakeholders, Manitoba will host webinars on the importance of building public trust in the agri-food industry and on the animal and plant protein sector. The Minister will also proclaim Wednesday, September 22nd, Local Veggie Day in partnership with Farm to School Manitoba and the Manitoba Association of Home Economists. Nearly 40,000 Manitobans work in the agricultural industry, contributing significantly to Manitoba's economy, the Minister noted. To learn more about agriculture in Manitoba, visit the provincial government website at gov.mb.ca. And photographing the photographer. A man known as Mr. Scobie took the above farm scene photo, depicting the central yard of the property. Another photographer, interested in capturing farm life documentation in progress, took the photo below. The central yard can be seen like the photo above, but with Mr. Scobie visible in the foreground. The location and dates for these photos were not specified. And there are a few more articles in this section of the paper that you might want to read if you get the chance, such as programs for livestock feed and transportation assistance. And in the accompanying photo, the caption reads, "The federal and Manitoba governments are partnering on programs that will help offset the cost of transporting feed or moving livestock to an alternate feed supply area due to this year's drought." And on the next page, Minnedosa Grain Growers Project wraps up harvest. The 2021 harvest for the Minnedosa Grain Growers Project, MGGP, was completed in the afternoon of September 10th. With 2 combines running, the harvest was completed by about 4 p.m. The wheat was trucked directly to Richardson Pioneer. The Ball's Red Spring wheat yielded 33 bushels per acre. The price per bushel is to be determined at a later date. All the money raised through the project will be donated to the Canadian Food Grains Bank. MGGP extends a big thank you to all their volunteers. And on the next page, harvest ahead of 5-year average, Provincial crop report. And I'll just read the weekly provincial summary section. Harvest completion across all regions of the province as of September 14th is 65%, ahead of the 5-year average of 61%, led by cereals and a significant increase in harvested canola acres this past week. Early harvest, coupled with extreme drought stress, has pushed harvest earlier for most crops in 2021, ahead of the 5-year harvest completion average. Canola and flax regrowth has become a harvest issue in a number of fields. Ripe main stems have begun branching below crop canopy, setting up new green growth that is blooming amongst ripe pods and bolls. Livestock producers are considering ensiling or haying canola regrowth as an alternate feed source. Soybean harvest has just started. Expect to see many more combines going in soybean crops beginning in the central and eastern regions. Forage and pasture regrowth is now sufficient to support grazing without feed supplementation in most areas. Producers are considering taking a second alfalfa grass cut where regrowth is sufficient. See the Manitoba ARD Dry Conditions and Drought page for resources on a broad range of livestock, forage, and crops topics, together with economic calculators applicable to current farm conditions. And finally, on the back page, we have one more photo. Harvest season is here. Combines were seen out in a canola field just west of Neepawa, south of Highway 16 on Friday, September 17th. There's a lot of good photos in today's paper, and what you see on TV doesn't really do it justice, so you can pick up a paper for that or for any of the other articles and letters to the editor that I didn't get to this week. And that's it for now, and we'll see you next week with another edition of the Neepawa Banner and Press.